Hi guys, welcome back. Just a quick vid today. This is kind of partly in response to a response that I saw on a post of the Gentleman Gamers last night with regards to preparation versus inspiration in role-playing. Now, I forget the name of the individual, but they gave a text reply to this video, basically saying that they didn't like a GM to turn up to the game session with a fully detailed scenario, reams of paper and all this sort of stuff. They would rather have something that was a bit more free-form, where the players could do what they wanted. And ended it basically by saying that they would be quite a pain in the arse to a GM that did such a thing, because they'd want to see how improvisational the GM could be. And that, if I say it rubbed me the wrong way, it would be slightly wrong, but it got me thinking about something that is quite important to me as a GM. And that's basically that, to my mind, the player, and I'm guessing I'm going to have a few people disagree with me on this, but to me, it's the responsibility of the player in a role-playing campaign to turn up and play the scenario or play the campaign, the story that's being told by the GM. So, you know, your GM's either written a scenario, or he's bought a campaign, or bought a module, or whatever, and he wants to run that. The player then has this responsibility to sit down and make a character suitable for that, and then to actually tell the story that the GM has provided. Not to go flying off book because, you know, suddenly you decide that you don't want to do it. For example, I've recently just wrapped up, well, it ended early, but recently wrapped up a Pathfinder campaign of the Shackled City adventure path that Paizo / Wizards, I guess, put out a few years back. I'll use that as an example because it's a lengthy campaign that takes characters from first level all the way up to roughly 20th. If I'd got a group of players and they sat down, and after the first session or a couple in or even halfway through, they suddenly decided that where the plot was going they didn't want to know and they wanted to go and do their own thing, I as the GM would feel a little bit cheated and more a little put out, I think, because, you know, I've spent the money on the module, I've read the module, I've tweaked it in places to fit what I want to do, and while it's one scenario leads to another scenario leads to another scenario, there's room within it for players to make their own choices and do a few things here and there. But you're there to tell the story. Now, hopefully, you know, I'm not saying this in a railroady sense, I'm hoping that the GM and the players are good enough together that this is acceptable. But I, for one, don't like toolbox settings or scenarios. I don't like, and I've played a few of these because a couple of players, a couple of fellow role players I know, do tend to do this sort of thing where they have a setting, whether it's just a town that they've built, as in one case, and he's detailed some of the areas around it, and then he's let you go with it, and he'll add bits in as he goes along during the game session. I'm afraid that sort of thing doesn't interest me, either as a GM or as a player. I've tried running that sort of thing and it generally doesn't work for me. I've played in it in this particular, in one and in a couple others, and quite frankly I feel lost because I don't have the story to tell. I'm interested in telling the story, not looking for whatever I want to do next. I want to be given a story and I want to tell that story. And I'm just curious at your expectations. If you're a GM, do you expect the players to tell the story, or do you not mind that they will go off on tangents of their own creation? What if they decide to leave your entire campaign behind? Do you just kind of ditch it and come back to it later, or, you know, what do you do? And if you're a player, would you prefer the complete freedom, or would you also prefer that you turn up and there'll be a fixed story for you and you do it with some, you know, room for manoeuvring for players' own for your own plots and what have you? Interesting to see what you think, because this is kind of a topic that's quite near and dear to me as a GM. So post your comments, and I look forward to seeing them. Until then, take care and good gaming.